Hello, boys and girls, women and children. It is NCAA Tournament time here at College Basketball Weekly, powered by the Full Court Network. I can't believe when we started in November, beginning of November, we would be coming to the end. 68 teams, the field is 68. Oh, it's going to be interesting, Sammy. It's going to be interesting. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, especially if you're watching the Full Court Network YouTube channel. Pound that subscribe button. Follow us on all our social media and Substack. So, Sammy, the tournament draws. We talked to him a little bit in the Full Court Press at College Basketball Coaches Show, the live show last night.
What a great live show! What a great live show!
Yeah,
big shout out to our guests too.
Yeah,
we had Coach Huss, Coach Martelli Jr., Bennett Sturts from Red Hot Drake, Coach Gross from Akron, who have a lot of people as their sleeper team. And then who finished us off?
Oh, Coach Jones, baby. Rob Jones from Norfolk.
Big fans of Rob Jones.
I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't get the respect. He got this 16th seed, but you know what? That guy just plays with a chip on his, coaches with a chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely. But big shout out to those gets for joining us yesterday. That was awesome.
Yep. All right, let's go through each region and pick our Cinderella picks in each region. Let's start where you want to go. Let's start the South, since the number one seed, I believe, was in the South, is Auburn. What are some key games you're kind of looking at in this bracket, in this region?
I mean, key games got to be Marquette, New Mexico. Cam Jones versus Donovan Dent. I think that's going to be just a really good matchup. I think this region is going to get pretty crazy. I think Yale's going to pull off an upset in the first round against A&M.
Really?
I do. I really like this Yale team.
They've done it. They did it before against Auburn. I mean, Coach knows how to do it.
Yeah. And I think this Michigan-San Diego game is going to be a really tight game. I have Michigan coming through there, but I do think San Diego has what it takes to bring it down to the last minute. Yeah,
and I think, watching San Diego win the Big West in the flesh, I was really impressed with the team and stuff like that, with the Tritons. And they really move the ball well. They play defense. And they really move the ball where they find the open man and stuff like that. So I'm really liking UC San Diego. I don't know if they'll have enough to beat Michigan, but I think that will be one. Another one I'm really excited to see is Louisville Creighton. I know that's not a Cinderella pick, but I think both those teams could do a little bit of damage. And I think they both have a lot to prove. So that should be an interesting one. But yeah, that Marquette New Mexico game is going to be probably the best game for me in that kind of region, quad, what have you. Any upsets, any Cinderella stories coming from the South region?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got. I'm not going to go into my thoughts about Auburn and Bruce Pearl in March. I just don't have them getting out. I don't have them getting out of the second round. I have Louisville knocking off Creighton in the first round, then I have Louisville beating Auburn.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, Auburn finished the regular season 4-3. They've lost their last two games. It's just not a good transition into this tournament. Bruce Pearl's record in March is pretty questionable in my opinion. Some of these guys are like 25 years old. Let's just get them out of college basketball. But I mean, what Pat Kelsey's done, turned around an 8-24 program. Obviously star Chucky Hepburn and all ACC first team selection. Kelsey has this team playing on both sides of the court, top 30 offense, top 30 defense, incredibly balanced. Tied for second in the ACC, just behind Duke this is not the Louisville show, okay? No, I know, but I'm just so impressed with this Louisville team. And
but do you think they've had good enough competition in the ACC to make a run in the NCAA tournament?
I do. I think they have a good enough. I do think they have a good enough competition. What I like more about this team than other SEC teams is I don't think they're as bruised and battered.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I think they've had a good balance of good competition, but also some pretty restful weeks as well.
Yep. All right, let's keep it moving because I don't want this to be a 4-hour show. What do you think about Michigan State, just quickly?
I like them. I mean, I'm a big Izzo fan. I'm a big Izzo in the tournament fan. I think that they're going to have a good matchup against Bryant. I have them playing New Mexico in the second round. I have them getting past that game into the Sweet 16. I do not have them getting past the Sweet 16.
Okay. Wow. Who do you see them losing to, Iowa State or Ole Miss?
I have Ole Miss.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
I think Chris Beard is going to be a household name. You know, once again. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I think I have Ole Miss as a 6 seed winning this region.
Wow. Okay. Let's go down to the West. Let's do it. Who do you see in this? I mean, a couple games I really like is Memphis, Colorado State. That Maryland Grand Canyon game could be really interesting. And then the Drake, Missouri. I think Drake is going to be one of the Cinderella slippers in this tournament.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I mean, Bennett Sturts is going to be a name everybody needs to know. I have Missouri winning that game just because I like the matchup with Missouri there. I think if Drake plays most other 5 through 7 seeded teams, like they'd have a really good shot. I just think Missouri plays such a fast-paced game. They're gonna keep Drake on their heels, and I think that's gonna be something that Drake isn't gonna be used to. And I think this is one of those where I think Drake has had too many relaxed weeks the past several months, whereas Missouri's just had tough game after tough game. And I don't think much is going to surprise Missouri because they've seen everything this year in the Big East or in the SEC.
Who do you see coming out of this region?
Ooh, this was a really hard one for me. I think the West is the deepest region. I have Colorado State making it to the second week of the tournament. I have them losing to Florida in the Sweet 16.
Really?
I think Florida's a balanced team, but you kind of got to throw it all out the window, in all honesty. I love the way Pitino has St. John's and their defense playing. What I'm noticing, this St. John's team looks a lot like the 2012-2013 Louisville team that Pitino coached, like mediocre shooting, but like a top 3 defense in the country, right? And Pitino took both of those to the Final Four, winning one championship. I have precision.
You know who I have? I have St. John's beating UConn.
Really?
Yeah. I think
I like it.
I think Coach Hurley's pissed off. And when Coach Hurley's pissed off, which is all the time, I think he's so that's my kind of strange. I really like St. John's. I like how they play. They play fast. They play aggressive.
I hope UConn makes a run. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that pick.
All right, let's go to the East. Big fella, let's go East. So we've got Duke in there. I mean, I think we got a couple sneaky games in this one. VCU, Brigham Young, Montana, Wisconsin's going to be an interesting one. And then Akron, Arizona. I really like that matchup for Akron. Are they going to win the game? I don't know, but that's good. I mean, they have the chance. I think they both play fast, and Akron will put up 45, 53s, and if they make them, they're going to be tough to beat.
So do you have Akron beating Arizona?
I don't know. No answer.
I mean, we talked about it on the live show. For me, this region comes down to how healthy is Cooper Flagg.
Yep.
Right? I think we're going to know these first couple games. I think, Duke is going to get that first round pretty easily. I think they're going to rest him pretty nicely.
Yep.
Round, I have them playing Mississippi State, which I think is going to be a hard matchup against. If Duke's healthy, they'll get through that. Credit to John Shire. He's found a way to win with a lot of freshmen. He's starting 3 freshmen, which is like kind of crazy in today's game. But he's figured it out. I think Cooper Flagg's the best player in the country, both offensively and defensively, like as a combined unit. I have Duke beating Alabama in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four.
I have the reverse. I actually have Alabama beating Duke.
I went back and forth. I love this Alabama team. I mean,
they've been there, done that too, right? I mean, you got some of their best players in Sears and Nelson coming back. I mean, they added some key pieces. Nate Oates has been there, done that, and I just wonder. But I mean, Duke's Duke, and you're right. It's going to come down to health.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you got Cooper Flagg, who's got an injured ankle, and then you also have Grant Nelson that missed a little bit of that SEC tournament with an injury. So I mean, we got to keep an eye out for both those guys.
Okay, let's go to the Any upsets? Do you want to pick any upsets in the East?
Let's see. I don't have any upsets. I have Vanderbilt. I think this is just a really strong region. I don't think there's a lot of upsets to be had. I like Akron. I like Liberty, but I just don't see them getting out of those first round matchups against Arizona and Oregon. I think both of those teams are really well coached.
Okay, let's finish off with the Midwest. I think this is where you're going to see a couple upsets for some reason. And I'm going to tell you a couple of them. McNeese could beat Clemson. High Point could beat Purdue, and Utah State could beat UCLA. I think there's and then Wofford. You never know against that 2 versus 15. You never know with that one. But I think that's going to come down to Houston and Tennessee, and I think Houston's going to go to the Final Four this year, at least on my end.
I like that pick. I mean, you look at Calvin's teams at Houston the last 5 years. He's got 1 Final Four, 1 Elite Eight, and 3 Sweet 16s. I mean, the guy's a winner in the tournament. He just hasn't won that big game at the end, right? This is his best offensive team he's ever had, led by LJ Cryer. He hasn't had this good of an offensive team going into the tournament, so I think that's going to be pretty exciting. But Brad Burnell, man, that guy is like he has impressed me so much this year at Clemson. 27-6. With Leonard Hamilton announcing his retirement, right? I mean, Brad Burnell's like the elder statesman in the ACC right now. He's been there longer than any other head coach, which is kind of wild, isn't it?
Yep.
He's built up. Like his blueprint this year is just a masterpiece, Chase Hunter and, Ian and Lackland and Zachary. I mean, they've won 14 of their final 15 regular season games. They have a win over Duke.
Yep.
I have Clemson beating Houston.
Wow.
But one of my Cinderella picks comes from this region, and that's Xavier.
I was thinking the same thing. They are sneaky good. And, they've had a lot of injuries, but, Conwell we've had on the show. I mean, they're really skilled. They're sneaky good. I mean, Xavier's 21-11. I mean, they have the play-in game, which I think actually kind of helps them, in all honesty. I have this team winning 3 games and getting to the Sweet 16. I think they're going to match up against a Tennessee team that I think is as good as any team in the country, and that's why. And the thing, but you know what's going to happen with Xavier? It's a home game. They're playing in Dayton.
I know.
I mean, it's
going to be. I think Xavier's going to come out on fire these first couple games.
Yep.
I have them beating Texas. I have them beating Illinois, and I have them beating Kentucky. To get.
I see that.
Sweet.
Yep. I see that. Yep. So give me 2 Cinderella teams. I'm going to give you one of mine. You give me another one because we might have the same one. I think High Point sneaky good.
High Point's good. I haven't beating Purdue in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, do we call a 1 victory in the tournament a Cinderella story? I think you have to get to the Sweet 16 to be a true Cinderella.
Okay. So who is it? Give me one.
I like Colorado State.
Dude, you're a homer.
I'm not a homer, man. It is. You saw them in the flesh. Them coming in as a 12 seed is like it doesn't represent how good they are right now this time of year.
Yeah, but here's the thing, because we're going to slide into the coaching carousel, and one of the hot names for Minnesota is the Colorado State coach. Is that going to be a distraction?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that I think a couple of years ago it would have been, right? I think now there's just so much movement with players and coaches. I feel all these teams, if they're doing it the right way, they're having these conversations early with their players, right? They're basically, I mean, they're sitting down with their players. They're saying, hey, like my name's going to be thrown out a lot, that your name's going to be thrown out a lot with transfer portal stuff. Like, let's not let that distract us from what our mission is. Getting through this is only going to help us better, whether we're here next year together, whether we're apart.
But you also stated that a lot of these programs want to be filled before the transfer portal opens next week.
For sure, transfer portal opens on Monday, and Minnesota's AD came out and said we're going to fill the position by Monday, right? you can't fill the position while a coach is still coaching.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, but he can't go and like recruit for another team while he's
Stranger Things.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen, right? But it's
he can
like
be a co-head coach of both. I hope. Listen, you know that Colorado State's going to make everything they can, do everything they can to keep them. They've got such a great culture. I met President's Amy Parsons. I mean, she's in the stands with the people. The people love her. I mean, we saw Coach with his kids, his, two beautiful daughters, his wife. He just seems happy. We've gotten to know him both personally, and he just seems happy.
I mean, we watch hundreds of games throughout the season, and for me, it's been very rare to see a team clicking as much as Colorado State's clicking right now, right? Mm-hmm. Everything from a fan perspective to an AD perspective to a university president to you look at the assistant coaches at Colorado State and associate head coach Ali, he's just locked in right now like he's never been before. When you watch them play, they are not missing assignments on the court. Like every player is where they should be at every given moment. Very rarely the last 10, 15 games have you watched any player miss an assignment from Colorado State.
No. They're up 20 and they're diving for the freaking ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's the culture that has been built there between the coaching staff, the players, the AD, President Parsons. I mean, it's unrivaled compared to anything I've seen around the country right now at this level.
Right. So then you look at Indiana and Iowa. It seems like Indiana's been open forever. North Carolina State. I mean, they're trying to target all these guys in the tournament. Virginia, South Florida's a really good job. That's open now. You hear Coach Odom's name thrown out from Virginia Commonwealth. I think that's Virginia's to lose. I think that would be a great fit for him. You were talking about Will Wade in North Carolina State a little bit, but I mean, Aura. I think they need a new Aura in North Carolina State. They got like 6,000, almost 10,000 views between both social media that you made. That was awesome. There's a plane spotted with bringing Aura to North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, there's a lot of coaching positions open that we can see good fits for, right? Like we see a good fit with Ryan Odom in Virginia, right? I think that, Richard. I love Richard Pitino at New Mexico. We love the Pit, right? I don't really want him taking another job, but if there was a job that's open right now, I think a great fit for him and the program is him in Villanova.
Yeah.
I love that kind of connection that could happen with, who is in Richard Pitino's network, who is who he knows. They're all East Coast guys. They're all up in that area in the Northeast, right? And moving him into the Big East, which he's watching a lot of Big East games the last couple of years.
Yep.
And he has history up there. I like that fit. And when you look at a guy and a coach who has the pedigree that Richard Pitino has, he's really not filling shoes of a Kyle Neptune. He's filling shoes of a Jay Wright. And I think he's a good person to be able to get that program back to where it was 4 or 5 years ago.
And that's a good statement because he's kind of filling shoes of his father in that sense. Right. So he knows the pressures and the demands. He can navigate it. It's a matter if he wants to go east. He's got a great thing. He's a legend in New Mexico. We saw it. They were cheering for him in another game.
That's what I'm saying. New Mexico, the Lobos and the Pit, they love Coach Pitino. I don't want to see him go anywhere because I think what he could build in New Mexico the next 10 years could be something very special. He could build the next Gonzaga with his age and the resources that he has in New Mexico. And the ability with them staying in the Mountain West, the ability to win Mountain West championships year after year and make the tournament similar to how Mark Few did it at Gonzaga for, 2+ decades. That could be his legacy. And I would love to see that.
Who do you see at Indiana or North Carolina State just quickly? What good fits do you see for them?
Indiana, I just don't feel bad for Indiana fans. They should have filled the position by now if this was the highly coveted job that everybody thought it is.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I'm hated by someone aboard as well.
Well, it's all good. I'm
actually going to bite my tongue not. They're getting their 5th or 6th pick. I mean,
They are.
and I think what people
they need to be humble with it.
Right. Well, I'm also sick of like hearing some of these people on social media and like just talking to coaches, like you don't mess with happy. And
no,
we've heard it. It's like guys aren't going if they're happy and their kids are happy and their situation's happy. They like their AD, they like their president, they like the community. I mean, look at Coach Huss. He told me if we go down there, he'll be there at High Point.
Yeah.
And he's coveted. And he still might leave, but he told me on TV, taped.
I'll put it this. Coach Huss could have gotten another job and probably doubled his salary, right, at the end of the season. And he signed a contract extension, right? Like, I mean, he's happy there. He knows what he's building. You see, when you watch the selection show on Sunday and they called High Point's name, who everybody knew was going to get called because they won their conference tournament, right?
Yep.
When they called that name, that was the loudest gym out of any of the others they showed all evening. Like, that High Point gym was absolutely electric when they called High Point's name. Like, if that doesn't tell you how basketball centric that university is. And I know Coach Huss said, all of our sports are doing great in the athletic department, but that it is centered around how good that basketball team is.
Yep.
And what Coach Huss is doing there with that program and that student section. And that's another, I mean, like you said, you don't mess with happy.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think a lot of these coaches, like you look at Coach Gross or Coach Steele, they've both been at major programs. They both unfortunately were let go. They've got really good situations. I mean, we were chalking it up and laughing with Coach Gross last night.
You see how relaxed Coach Gross looks?
Oh my God! And it's like, you know what? And look at Coach Steele. He signed an extension. Coach Hodgson from Arkansas State, who we want to get on the show. I mean, there's
Coach Gross looks. He's done the Benjamin Button thing since him and Illinois parted ways. Like, he looks younger today than he did when he was coaching in Illinois. He looks healthier today than he did when his last couple days at Illinois.
Yeah.
Like,
he looks like 26.
Yeah, right.
I think he's got hair growing back on his head too. I saw some stuff popping up.
I don't know about that. Maybe it's all the Starbucks he's pouring down or something.
Yeah.
But when you go back to the Indiana job, I don't know. Like, I mean, 3 or 4 weeks ago, like, I would have said Brunel would have been a great pick for them. But, I have him going to his second straight Elite Eight. Like, why would he mess with that and go somewhere else where there's like, I don't know what a good fit is there in Indiana, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I think they aimed for the fences. They
swung for the fences,
Yeah, they swung for the fences with their first couple picks, which I think was a mistake for them. I think they should have been a little bit more humble and like not made announcements with who they were going after for those first couple picks, because now it just gets down, it's kind of going through what Kentucky went through. And, Kentucky ended up with a really good selection, it turned out, right?
Yep.
So you never know, but you also know Mark Pope wasn't their top 4 or 5 picks to coach that program.
Yeah, and they're doing well, and I think that was a good pick, and I think they'll still get a good coach. I mean, that's not a thing, but I just worry with some of these programs here through desperation. And just quickly, I mean, the transfer portal should not be in the middle of the NCAA tournament. I mean, that is absolutely ludicrous. I've got a lot of issues, and we're going to talk over the summer about stuff like that, have some roundtables with some coaches, commissioners, because it's ridiculous. I mean, how do you do that in the middle of the greatest sports event going over 3 weeks? I'm sorry. Like,
it's
I'm sorry.
Crazy, and it's not fair to the coaches. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And it takes away from the excitement from the tournament. I want to see the NCAA make some positive changes in the right direction.
They need to. Yep.
Support the coaches. Today it came out that now they're allowing anyone in the transfer portal to negotiate NIL salaries before they're accepted into the university, which wasn't the case this past year. Which is, I think it's going to make it worse. I think they're going to have to reverse that to some degree over the next couple of years.
They're not going to. They're just sitting on their hands, man. The NCAA has no hands, and I don't mean to be negative. I mean, I love the NCAA. I mean, if it wasn't for the NCAA, I wouldn't be here with you right now. I mean, we're a byproduct.
Sure, I mean, we're
my wife is a byproduct of the NCAA. My kids are a byproduct of the NCAA. I mean,
absolutely.
my wife is. There's
a lot of things that the NCAA does very well. right? And the whole NIL and transfer portal concept, it's disappointing when these two things are happening at the same time, right? Because I think it's just too much to handle, right? Something needs to be drawn back. You see what you see how these coaches are responding. Shout out to you. You know, you had a great press conference at the Nevada game, talking to Coach Alford. That's getting a lot of traction.
How many? And no one put my name. But now, in their defense, I did not say LT Luke Taylor full court network. I did not.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, you asked a really good question to Coach Steve Alford at Nevada about, you know, what he plans to do after differently with the changes that are occurring in the NCAA landscape for college basketball, and he gave a 3.5-minute response. You know, about it, and you know, that Q&A is kind of going viral, a couple million views on the internet. You should post it up here with this, and because it's consistent with what every coach is telling us, right? Like, they don't.
Kudos for Coach Alford to say that.
Absolutely. I mean, every coach we've interviewed, which is, you know, 120 something coaches now over the past year and a half.
Who's counting?
They all agree that players should be compensated.
Absolutely. 100%.
Right? They're all every single coach we've spoken to has advocated for compensating players, right? They just don't agree with how it's happening. And I think there needs to be some kind of balance with that. And hopefully we can move the needle in the right direction in the NCAA.
But I think my biggest thing is a transfer portal. I mean, I transferred, and if you transfer, you had to sit out a year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have no problem if you get one free transfer, but you got guys transferring 3-4 times. I mean, you don't just switch jobs 3-4 times. You know what happens when someone sends you a resume and they've changed jobs 3 times in 3 years, 4 years. You know what you do? You throw that resume in the garbage.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what you're going to see is the teams that do make it into the Elite Eight, the Final Four, the championship game, you're going to see a pattern with those teams, right? And I think that one of the patterns is going to be coaches who have done a good job with the transfer portal, not just shelling out a bunch of money, but finding the right players that fit their coaching mentality.
Right.
I mean, you see a coach like Rick Pitino at St. John's, right, who is just, I mean, he was very vocal about paying players.
Yep.
You know, he advocates for it, but he's like, if you're getting paid, I'm going to treat you like an employee.
Yep.
You're going to show up on time. You're going to work your ass off. He's
also one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. But still, what you're saying.
No, but it's like, I mean, you have to find the right players that fit into your system, not just the right players who you can pay and get on your team.
Yep.
And I mean, you look at what Drake's accomplished this year, you know, with, you know, several D2 guys who get an opportunity this year.
Yep.
And several other programs as well. I mean, it's all about finding that right mix, right?
Yep.
So it'll be interesting.
And we're going to talk more about that, especially in the off season, because we'll need some good stuff to talk about. All right, just quickly, any other tournaments you're watching? I'm not. I'm watching the NCAA tournament.
No, I mean, I'll tune into a couple games here and there. I will say there are some good matchups in the NIT, the Vegas tournament. I think there's some good matchups. I'm really happy with that Vegas, like what's it called, the Crown tournament. I think it's a great idea. It's, hey, let's reward some of these programs who are playing well right now, who just didn't make the cut to get into the NCAA tournament. Let's reward them with some NIL dollars, you know? And I like that concept at the end of the season. With guys, teams who don't get into the NCAA tournament. But I'm watching the NCAA tournament. If something comes on with a team or coach that we know in the NIT or one of the other tournaments,
I'll watch it too.
I'll probably tune in and watch it. I think there's some good. I think the NIT is a lot better this year than it was last year.
Awesome. Well, Sammy, that's it, man. We got some picks. We talked some basketball. We'll talk again. Check out the Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show. We do a selection show. We had 5 great guests. That's going to hit, you know, today.
Are you going to tell me who's going to win the tournament?
I got Alabama.
Okay. I like that pick.
I like white barbecue sauce. That's the only reason I picked it.
You like all barbecue sauces? Are you kidding me?
I like white barbecues, boy. If it's
Nice.
made right,
I have
just take it.
another SEC team. I have Tennessee winning the whole thing.
Okay. All right. Well, we got SEC. I think it's going to be Alabama and Auburn, and it's going to be Sweet Home Alabama, baby. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Follow us on our YouTube, the Full Court Network. Make us your home for college hoops. We're going to have some more great stuff. I'll be on the ground in Cleveland. I'll throw up some live stuff. I'll try to keep up with posting more stuff. And, Sammy, let's have some fun. We'll obviously see each other again in the Final Four. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. College Basketball Weekly, powered by the Full Court Network.